It's the same cult that the Duggars from 19 Kids and Counting were in.
Right. I started watching a documentary,
Oh, the Shiny Happy People documentary?
the Shiny Happy People
Number
documentary.
one documentary on Amazon Prime of all time.
That's insane.
It was huge. It's pretty interesting because it wasn't really the traditional cult.
It's behavior, bitches.
This is the start of part 2 with Davey Jackson. If you didn't listen last week, you're going to want to catch up because it goes into everything. Cults, addiction, drugs, comedy, all the things. And I ask all the questions. So make sure to listen to last week's episode first and then listen to this one. And I hope you guys like it. Please leave comments, reviews, 5 stars. I'll take all of it. If you love it, I want to know. Love ya. Mean it. Okay,
Yeah.
but now, listen, I need to get into like the juice of today because I could keep going back and forth with this forever. I want to know about you.
Okay.
I already told we found out about what I would do on a date. That's
Right.
the only thing I wanted you to ask me about. But now I want to ask you about you. Okay, so Davey,
Yeah.
growing up in San Antonio.
No, I actually grew up in Houston. I'm from Houston originally.
Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm.
I was just in Houston yesterday.
Yeah.
And then I went to Galveston and then Houston.
Ugh, Galveston's gross.
It made me feel homesick. I was like, I feel depressed here.
Like for Israel?
And I'm not, Israel's not my home. I mean,
Oh,
I like it. Homesick for like my real home. Like I was like, I feel like
it's kind of
depressing
disgusting.
here.
Yeah. There's like a heavy energy in Galveston. They're all addicted to meth.
Are
That's why.
they?
Yeah. Meth is a big problem in Galveston.
Okay, so you're from Houston.
Yeah.
You, how many siblings do you have?
2.
2 siblings.
Yep. 2 younger siblings. I'm the oldest.
2 younger siblings, and you grew up a part of a cult.
I did. Yeah.
What is this cult called?
That's such a complicated
I feel
question.
like they have a marketing issue with the name of it. 'Cause
They
like I see
really
a different
do.
thing.
The official name is the Institute in Basic Life Principles, or was the Institute in Basic Life Principles.
Okay.
That was like kind of the official name. And then they had a homeschool training curriculum called the Advanced Training Institute. They were all over the world. They had compounds all over the world.
When you say compound, you mean like
Training centers is what they called them.
but like in terms of living, are you guys all living in the same
Uh,
area or you
there,
could live anywhere and just
there were certain members of the cult that, yeah, they would live on compound.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was a giant organization, huge.
Okay.
They produced a lot of different literature, training materials, and they were all produced at these compounds. They would host seminars. You would go to the compounds for the seminars, but they would also host seminars at churches around the country, around the world. So yeah, it was
But
a
they
very
might go to like a Baptist church and like lead seminars?
yeah,
Oh, so they weren't like against Baptist or would they want
no,
to pull people into their cult?
very much so. That was
Okay.
like kind of a recruiting technique for sure. But yeah, it's the same cult that the Duggars from 19 Kids and Counting were in.
Right. I started watching a documentary,
Oh, the Shiny Happy People documentary?
the Shiny Happy People
Number
documentary.
one documentary on Amazon Prime of all time.
That's insane.
It was huge. Came out like a year ago?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I only just started watching because after you like told me about it after your
Yeah.
show that day.
It's pretty interesting. It's because it wasn't really the traditional cult. Like it's like people think of cults, they think of Waco, right? David Koresh. They think of what was that guy's name? Jim Jones or whatever.
I think they think of a lot of like
But they think of these communes of people living together in one place,
yes,
right? Like
like having sex with
the fundamental Mormons,
yes,
right? Down in
all of it.
Utah and Nevada
Exactly.
and wherever.
I feel like dumb that I can't think of one right now because I love cults, but like my
Yeah.
brain's just like done like a complete. Maybe it's a Dilaudid.
It could be the Dilaudid / eating pad, yeah. /
The heating pad on
Norco
my back. Hey, I
/
don't feel
whatever.
knowing about that. And I'm actually like hot as balls with this heating pad. I think
Oh,
I
you
should
need to take it
actually
out?
off. Yeah.
You want to remove that real quick?
Huh?
Oh, we're removing layers now. Yikes. Here we go.
Your parents grew up in the cult?
No. Okay, so that was the interesting thing. I wasn't born into the cult. My parents didn't join the cult until I think I was about 12 years old when they went to one of these seminars that the cult hosts all around the country. That's the recruiting
Were you
tool.
guys just like regular Christians?
We were regular Christian, we were conservative, definitely very conservative Christians, and I was homeschooled. I was already being homeschooled.
Oh,
So it
because
was
that's one of their main things, this cult, it seems like the homeschooling
yes,
thing.
you have to be homeschooled.
Is it that they provide a curriculum or something?
That's the Advanced Training Institute. That's the homeschool
Does
curriculum,
it also have any
correct.
academics in it or no?
I mean, it's so limited. They so their homeschool curriculum, uh, is delivered in these little weird magazines called, wisdom booklets.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that on the
Yeah, and they're based on the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus is infamous or famous, I don't know. I don't wanna say infamous about Jesus, that's weird. But, the Sermon on the Mount that he gave, it's like 3 or 4, I think maybe 5 chapters in the Bible in the New Testament, and it's
Okay.
this whole sermon that he gave to his disciples and followers, right? And so they base these wisdom booklets, this homeschool training curriculum on Jesus's sermon, which
So
is insane.
but, like, I guess I'm just wondering, is this like a Sunday school kinda curriculum that it's, like, all religious? Or it's like, then they'll be like, "Alright, well, while we're talking about Jesus' line of" sorry, I can't reference any
Blessed are the
Jesus
poor
line.
in spirit.
Yeah, they'll be like,
Mhm.
"There was 7 blessed, and 3 more came to join in." Like, would they have any math?
So they had 10 blesseds. Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, there was some math involved. They were really obsessed with, nature, lessons from nature. And so it was like, basically everything you need to know about life, you can learn from the Bible and nature. That was kind of the position of the cult. You didn't really need much else outside of the Bible and nature. But there was, like, some historical information as well, very, I would say propaganda type stuff that they would include in the wisdom booklets about history. But it was, I mean, the whole the whole marketing scheme for these wisdom booklets at the Advanced Training Institute was, if you go through all of our wisdom booklets, by the time you're done, you will have the equivalent of a college degree, which is insane because you really didn't learn anything useful or practical in the wisdom booklets. Now, my mom, uh, incredible teacher, and so she supplemented the wisdom booklets a lot. I mean, heavily. And so I actually did have a phenomenal education growing up. I
Good.
tested out of college. I didn't have to go to classes. I just took placement tests and I already knew everything.
That's hot.
It was crazy.
No, they say what is it? There's, like, something it's like, you could see how smart someone is by, like, what they laugh at. I swear when saw you doing your thing, I was like, "He's fucking smart." Like, you get things. Even when I had a conversation with you after, I was like, "He just, like, you're not dumb."
I hope not. I mean, there's definitely stuff that I'm not as good at. Like if you ask me to do like complicated math problems or something,
I mean, but who
I'm fucked. But, like
like,
street smarts, just like level of intellect, I feel like I'm
you
pretty good
you
on
get
that
it.
front.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably more important
How are your lips chapped right now, Leon?
from the heating pads I've had on them.
No, just the conversation that we've been having about how smart I am.
Oh, because 'cause I've been licking them so hard? I thought you were just referring to my, like,
No,
labial lips.
that's what I was referring to.
Oh, that is
Is this conversation making you
my dad listens to this podcast sometimes.
You mean our dad listens to this podcast sometimes?
Yeah, daddy. So, you're in this cult.
Yes.
What do you think this cult's who's the guy again who's big deal in it?
Bill Gothard was the main
Is
guy.
he still alive?
He is. I think he was last year. So I'm pretty sure he's still alive. Yeah.
I mean, if he
S
was alive last year, he better be alive
He's
this year.
probably alive. He's old though. He's old and, you can tell he's kinda slipping.
So, but what do you think, like, what is, like, the I guess, like, in behavior, we look at, like, the function of things a lot. Like,
Mm,
what was like, the goal or objective or, like, again, we always say function of, like, the behavior of getting people to do this. Was this, like, they were trying to gain control? They were making a lot of money from it?
yeah. Both of those things. They were making a ton of money. The cult was generating millions and millions of dollars a year. I mean, just from selling their literature, doing their seminars, making tons of money.
Okay, but let's say, like, some culture, like, okay, this is bad. It's making them, like, go out and kill people, or
Right,
it's
right, right,
making
right,
them,
yeah.
like, have sex with all, like, teens and, like, whatever it is.
Which he was doing.
He was?
Well, I mean,
Was it was
there's
was a
not
lot of
hard
sex and
evidence, but he was definitely grooming underage women, yeah,
okay, because
underage girls.
I'm like, because there's some things I'm like, okay, like, if they're giving these wisdom booklets, like,
Is it problematic? Yes. Like, the teachings of the cult were very conservative, very misogynistic, very archaic. Um, that in and of itself, I wouldn't say is necessarily evil, but it's the types of behaviors that those teachings enable, right? Because you know, a big part of it was the man of the family, the father, right, is carte blanche power over the family, over the mother, over the children. So it creates this environment that's very open to abuse, I would say, and it happened a lot. Like,
in your household?
no, no, not in my household. I was very fortunate. Like my parents were great. They still are. They're still with us. They're great people.
Well, they
Um,
were last year, so we assume they're still with us
yeah,
this
they
year.
were. No, my mom called me yesterday, so I'm pretty sure she's unless she was calling to deliver some bad news because I didn't answer. I was busy. Well, I was in
Dude,
the
you're
middle of a
stressing
show.
me out.
I was in the middle of a show, Leah. I texted her. It's fine. Everything's fine.
You guys are good, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So no, my parents were great, but there was a lot of abuse, um, like family abuse within this cult. A lot,
But I'm
like a
assuming there also
disturbing
probably
amount.
was, like, no out for, like, women, I'm assuming, in that
No,
relationship,
because they were beholden to their husband.
right?
What hit the husband's word was law, essentially, and that's how this cult was set up. Like, they basically empowered the man, right, based on biblical teaching that whatever he says goes. So very misogynistic, very patriarchal, was kind of the push of this cult.
Okay, and what would you say were, like, the odd things about the cult that you'd be like, "That is" like, what things were fucked up?
It was the focus on having as many kids as possible, that was really weird to me. It's like, we're gonna raise up a new generation to, you know, bring our country and bring the world back to Christ, which was, you know,
Why did
kinda
your parents
strange.
have so few?
Um,
Underachievers?
yeah, I guess,
I mean, like, the question you're never meant to ask a woman, like, "So why don't you have more kids?"
yeah, what's wrong with you? Are you broken or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried, but, you know, it was just the 3 of us, I guess, but that was a point of shame in smaller families. Like, they had this big conference every year, the cult did, in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they would celebrate the large families and basically tell families with fewer children, like 2 or 3 kids, God forbid you only had 1, but if you had a smaller family, it was kinda like, "Well, we'll pray for you and hope you have more kids." Because we
It
know that's
happens
what
in the
gods
Jewish
want.
community too, kind of, like, in some things. It's like,
Mm.
you hear someone get engaged, you're like, "Soon by you.
Sumba you?
Soon by you." Like, "Please God, soon by you," the same thing happens. It's
Mm.
like, "I'm not broken."
Yeah, I'm fine. And our I grew up in a phenomenal
So
family.
they really do, like, reinforce
Very much so.
the families that have like, because 'cause you're more following what God would want,
That's right. God wants you to have a bunch of kids.
and I'm assuming
Quiverful is like kind of the concept that they endorsed. So a quiver full of arrows, right, is better than just 2 or 3 arrows in your quiver. And they would, you know, basically say that's you want a
so
quiver
wait,
full
so,
of
like,
children.
the 19 kids with the Duggar family is not that crazy? You're saying there's
That's
multiple
a
that many?
lot. That I mean, that yeah, 19 is a
'Cause
lot,
I know,
but
like, some religious Jewish families who have, like, 12 kids
yeah,
or
that I would say it was not uncommon to see families with, like, 8, 10, 12 kids.
me on, like, a statistics level, I'm like now I think it's, like, 1 in 30 kids just, like, has autism or, like, anything, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, the odds and that's just speaking autism, which is, like, but I can't, like, you're really playing with your odds here
Yeah, the statistical
when you
probability
have that many kids
yeah,
that, like so you grew up in this cult, like, what weren't you allowed to do that other kids your age might have been doing?
wasn't allowed to watch TV, couldn't listen to any music with drums in it because drums could summon demons.
So you weren't listening to Blink-182 or anything,
No, not at all. I had no social awareness when I was a kid. All the women had to wear dresses. It was immodest
like,
to
cover
wear
their
pants.
collarbone and long
Mhm.
skirts?
Yeah, yeah.
There's actually a
Um,
lot of similarities in, like,
full
the
coverage.
Orthodox
Oh, yeah,
Judaism.
Orthodox Judaism is very similar. Fundamental Mormonism is very similar as well. These are not new concepts, right?
Wait, was that in your comedy special? I don't wanna ruin your comedy special for people, but you were like, at least the Mormons was it called wedding?
Oh,
Soaking?
soaking. Soaking, yeah.
Wet, soaking, same
So
thing.
whatever.
Moist,
Yeah, ugh, that's the grossest word.
moisting.
Moisting. There's how you alienate a whole crowd of women, yeah. Who's moist? That's gross.
You don't have to have lifts.
That's a good thing, right?
Right.
We want you to be moist.
Blech. Okay.
Gross.
So
But yeah,
tell me wait, sorry, I know this is off topic, but make it this
the
soaking
soaking,
thing?
you want me to explain soaking?
Yes, and, like,
It's
you because you when you were saying it in reference of, like, we couldn't even do that.
yeah, no,
Like,
we weren't even supposed to kiss until we were like, you were supposed to save your first kiss for marriage.
well, so is Orthodox Judaism, the
Yeah.
idea of what's called shomer negiah, like, uh, and it's the idea of, like, you're not even meant to give
What'd
a
you
high
call
five.
me?
You're
Shomer
not you
Nagia? Okay.
yeah, you're not even meant to, like, high five technically or, like, touch at all until
Until you're married.
yeah,
That's very, I mean, Islam, right?
any of
All
them.
of these hyper conservative, extreme religious organizations, they all have a lot of the same tenets. And it's all incredibly problematic in my mind. But yeah, I mean, we weren't allowed to, do any of that. I really didn't have any friends outside of the cult that we
But did
were
you have
in.
friends in the cult?
Yeah, yeah, I had some. Very, very few, but some.
Because like, when would you see them? At church, maybe?
My family did home church for a little while. And so it was other cult family members. We would get together on Sundays and do a church service in one of our houses.
Do you have to have, like, a certain amount of men or something? Because like, in Judaism, you have to have 10 men in order to, like, do the
No,
service.
no, we
Okay.
didn't have to do that at all. I mean, a lot of the home church services that we did, it was like I think 3 families.
So did your parents work, like, regular secular jobs?
My dad did. My mom was stay at home
Oh,
and
okay.
she taught us. She homeschooled us.
The hardest job of all.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that actually. Yeah. I would much rather be in an office setting
And so I'm
than
assuming you probably have to give, like, some percentage of your money to the do you guys do that? Like
I don't really know how that part worked. I don't know if there was like a membership that you had to pay every year. I mean, the literature that you had to buy from the cult was very expensive.
no, but
Um,
I'm if
but I
this
don't
is,
think we
like, any sort of
tithed.
religion,
I
there's
don't I don't think we tithed to the organization. It was just all the literature and the seminars that you would have to go to. It was
there's no way that they weren't having to give some like, I feel like even the most basic religions are, like, 10% or
yeah, maybe
something.
it was a well, but that was the interesting thing about this cult, Leah. It wasn't a church. It was an organization. It was an educational organization. And so they were
But it still
more
spoke about Jesus.
absolutely, absolutely. So Christianity was the fundamental of the cult, but they didn't have a church building, which that's what I think was so ingenious about how Bill Gothard approached this all because it was like, we don't really care what church you go to, as long as it's a conservative church, whether it's Baptist, Church of Christ, Lutheran, Methodist, whatever. We don't care what church you go to. We just want you to be a part of our organization. So it was like this separation between the cult and the actual church itself.
Oh, so you could be Catholic, you could be
Yeah.
oh, okay, so there
Well, I
wasn't
don't know about Catholic. I
they
think they
people,
would have had
like
a problem with Catholic because they worshiped idols.
so you were restricted but did you feel restricted or you didn't really know anything
I didn't know
different?
any different, yeah. Like, I'd been homeschooled since day one, I never went to a public school or private school.
'Cause
So, it
right,
was
so,
really all
like,
I knew.
I'm just like, Dallas has a religious community here, like
Mhm.
Orthodox Jewish community, not as religious as, let's say, like, different parts of New York or, like,
Sure.
Baltimore or whatever it is, but, like, I remember, like, certain thing like, I went to public school, but,
Mhm.
like, I still, like I grew up observing Shabbat and whatever, so I was,
Sure.
like, unique that, like, I was, like, secular and but I remember having these, like, sometimes, like, let's say there was, like, a football game or something
Yeah.
on, like, they'd allow, like, these boys or something to come over to my house, which, like, my dad would basically, like, feel like, hide me and my sister in a closet. Not really, he'd
As
be like,
he
"Don't
as
come
he
out,
should. Yeah.
the boys are gonna be here," like, I'm like,
Mhm.
"I fucking live here,"
Yeah.
right? But, like, they were so happy to see a TV, even if, like, the TV guide was on, they'd be
Really?
just, like, so happy to see, like, anything on TV because they don't have TV.
I think I probably had some similar experiences, especially, like, visiting my cousins, because they were not in the cult, they were not hyper religious like my family, and so, yeah, I would, maybe get to watch a movie, that I wasn't allowed to watch otherwise, right?
And it was, like, so like, any movie you'd
Oh,
like,
so
right?
exciting. So
Like,
well, no, because I'd still had the guilt, right? I would have a guilt complex, so I
oh.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, we were very brainwashed in this cult, right? I mean, basically, if you are not observing the rules, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, first of all, you are disappointing God. and secondly, you're putting yourself on the path to hell.
Oh,
Eh
so they talk about hell a lot?
oh, very much so, yeah. Yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah.
So, like, at this point in
Rebellion
your
and
life, you're, like, kind of really going to hell, or, like, what
me?
with the life you're living
Right
right now?
now? Oh, by the cult standards, I'm already in hell. Like, I am currently living a life of
Y
depravity and sin, and so I have separated myself and turned my back on God.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'm imagining, like, you're just, like
I'm the worst of the worst.
so you left the cult
I left the cult when I was 18 years old. Yeah, I
by
left when I was
yourself?
yeah, mhm. Yeah, and then my parents, they separated from the cult, like, a year after.
You seem like you have, like, relatively normal parents
My
considering,
parents are
like
great people.
that's
I
what I'm saying, like
they really did have the best intentions. I truly believe they had the best. My mom has apologized to me so many times, for getting us, like, wrapped up in that. Uh, they were just trying to protect their
right.
kids. They really were doing what they thought was the right thing. You know, when I was 16 years old, we weren't doing home church anymore. We were going to a regular church. I met a girl at church. I knew I wasn't supposed to have a girlfriend. We were supposed to do this thing called courtship. I'm sure they have something similar in Judaism, where it's basically Christian arranged marriage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same
right.
thing, yeah.
Yeah. So, um, you know, I got this girlfriend. I had to keep it a secret, right? My parents, of course, found out at some point, and that's when we moved from Houston to Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, big move.
They uprooted the family because I was
'Cause of the
at
girlfriends?
risk. Yeah, mhm. Yeah, and then they sent me to one of the cult compounds. It was basically like behavioral rehab, I would say, and that was pretty traumatic for me. I was there for 2 months. I ended up getting kicked out of the program, but they put me in solitary confinement for a week. I was
Oh, I think
16
I
years
heard you say
old.
that, like, literally you just had a Bible and
Mhm, a bed and a Bible and, a nightstand, I guess, and a bathroom, obviously, but yeah.
like, you
Um,
didn't see anyone
mm-mm,
for a full week?
mhm, except for when they, like, brought food in. They would
Like, you couldn't freely leave the room?
no, mm-mm, no, we were locked in. Yeah,
Like an actual jail?
pretty much, yeah. I mean, it pretty much was
And,
set
like,
up
at
as
this
like a
point, did you have
dormitory
like,
room.
were you angry or you had guilt at this point? You're like, "I feel
I was
bad that I."
confused. I was so confused because when I went to this compound, you know, we had just moved from Texas to New England to get me away from my girlfriend. You know, I thought this girl was the love of my life,
Of course, because
obviously.
that's, like, at the when you're
High
in
school
that
sweetheart, right?
and, like, when you're when you're growing up around that, you assume, like, the person you fall in love with is the person that you
Gonna
like
be with forever.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
By the way, anyone studying for the test, when you isolate someone like that, that's like that would be considered exclusionary timeout of
Mm.
negative punishment, right? Like, you're removing someone from the anyways, you don't need to care
You know
about
what's
that.
interesting about that? I was talking to one of my buddies about this who was in jail for or prison for like 7 years or something like that, and he was like,
Can you get him on the podcast for me?
"All right, I can certainly see about it. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love
Prisoners, you like tattoos and
no, it's not that,
hardened
like no, I
criminals
just,
and
like I'm fascinated, like, I love hearing people's, like, life like, first of all, anything prison related,
trauma." Yeah,
I
that's what
love
you like
hearing it.
hearing. Yeah, you like hearing trauma.
Yeah.
But he was talking about his solitary confinement, and he was like, "Yeah, they let us out for an hour a
Wait,
day
you didn't
at
get an hour
least."
a day of, like,
No,
physical activity as a 16-year-old?
no, I was like in that room for a week. There were, like, some of my buddies well, guys that I had met at this
Wow.
compound in this program, um, one of them was, he was they called it the prayer room. That was the isolation. So you were going to the prayer room and you knew, like, okay,
Would they
well,
come talk to you at all? Like, be like, give you, like,
one of my counselors
one-on-one
did have,
therapy?
like, a conversation with me at one point, but other than that, no, he had, like, a conversation, you know, just kind of, you know, seeing if I understood why I was in the prayer room, why I was
Did
in
they knew you
solitary
hooked up with your
confinement.
girlfriend or something?
They suspected that I was having an inappropriate relationship with, the compound director's daughter. He actually had 2 daughters, and I was having an inappropriate relationship with both of them. But
You were
they
hooking
never
up with
found out.
both?
Yeah, I was upset, Liat. I was heartbroken
By which part of it? That you oh, that you couldn't be with them anymore?
that I couldn't be with my girlfriend from Houston.
But why was
I
but
went
you
to
had
the arms
2.
of another woman. I had to. This is how we deal with grief as men.
Wait, was were you with the older or the younger one?
I mean,
They were sisters?
Yeah, I mean,
This is like
both.
classic biblical, like Rachel and Leah.
Ooh, that's so true. I forgot, you know the Talmud. You really do.
Not a lot. I just like know certain
You know
ones.
that one in particular,
That
though.
one.
Yeah. Anything involving, 2 freaky ladies, Liat's gonna know about.
No, it's
But
just
yeah.
that like my Hebrew name is Leah, then my sister's is Rachel. So like I always knew that part of like that he like right.
Wait, your Hebrew name is
It's
Leah?
crazy. So
Yeah.
you have a biblical name also. So like
Liat sounds
Liat
even
is
more
Hebrew.
Hebrew.
Liat is
Yeah.
Hebrew, but
Okay.
not religious. That's just like
Oh, I
secular,
see.
like Hebrew. Like it
Like
means like you
Yiddish.
are mine. No, not
Oh,
Yiddish.
not Yiddish.
But
Liat
like
means you are mine?
Li is mine, At is you. So it's you
Okay.
are mine.
Okay.
But they'll give people like, like so like Leia
Mhm.
would be mine. Like my sister's her name is Talia, but her like Hebrew
Talia.
name is uh Rachel or Rachel.
I actually have another friend named Talia.
Do
It's
you?
interesting, yeah. Mhm. I didn't know that was I didn't know she was Jewish, but
It's Hebrew. No, it also
she
is like
probably is.
Latina.
Wait, Latina?
Talia could also be like in the Latina community, like a name.
Oh, well, she's white.
Talia.
She's white, so
You were heartbroken about this, so
yeah.
you start hooking with the other sister? And like, did you even know what you're doing
With, like, both of the
at the
so
same time?
not at the same time, but, like, individually. So they neither one of them had been my girlfriend, obviously, like, these were just the daughters of the compound director, the guy who kinda, like, ran it was in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Classic, like the rabbi's daughter, or like whatever has to be the
Mm,
slut, right?
I would never call them sluts. I don't slut shame.
I'm just kidding,
Yeah,
but you know
no.
what I mean.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I was, one of the interesting things. So, like, when I got sent to this compound, I had talked to my girlfriend before my family moved me away, and I was like, "Hey, look,
And you couldn't call her or anything, right? You have a
no,
cell phone? No.
I didn't have a cell phone, no, but I gave her. I can't remember how I got a hold of her. There's so many things that I don't have a clear memory of, but
Right.
I had gotten a hold of her, told her that I was going to this compound, gave her the address so that she could send me letters. I don't know how I thought I was gonna get them, but obviously they
This
intercepted
is
the letters.
romantic.
Yeah, I never got the letters from her, right? Because the compound,
Hashtag
you
the
know
notebook.
oh, so true. Yeah, I actually did talk to her, like, 3 years later, finally.
Is she in the cult still?
Oh, she was never in the cult. She was a normal girl. She was like a normal high school she was head cheerleader for one of the big high schools in
Wait,
Houston.
but I thought
I met her at church. I met her at like, regular, not home church.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I thought this is
Yeah, no, she was not in the cult.
oh, so she taught you everything you knew.
Ye
She's like, so this is when you stick your hands down my pants.
Sure. Let's say hypothetically, yes.
Did
Yeah.
you have a computer?
My family had a computer, but we weren't allowed to get on the internet, and it was in, like, our living room, and so there was no privacy there.
Okay.
Yeah. I was very, very naive, very uneducated.
Okay, so you could call this girl's house.
Um,
Technically. It
if my
wasn't like
parents were away, I could call her on our landline, which I did late at night or when they were gone or something like that. Yeah. Mhm. That's ultimately how I got caught, is I was on the phone with her, and my parents were, like, going through the phone records, and they were like,
and
"Who
you
is
know
this?"
when you're younger and like you could hear someone on the other line, like in the house phone, it used
"Oh,
to be like,
yeah. Mom, get off the line." No, for
yeah,
me, it was just like, hang up immediately. "Oh my god,
yeah.
she knows." Yeah. Yeah, that's how they ultimately found out. But yeah, so that's why
But did you have any other behavioral um
at that point, no.
like
No, at that point, I hadn't experimented with drugs or alcohol, nothing.
like you were a pretty good kid?
I was a very good kid. Like, the only thing that I had done up until that point was have a secret girlfriend. At 16 years old, that was the worst thing that I'd done.
You get sent to this thing.
Mhm.
How did you change? Did you come back?
I came back very, disenchanted with just kind of not only the cult, but just, like, kinda religion in general at that point. Like,
So
I
it actually
kinda
had the opposite effect.
very much so. Yeah, and I'd like so I had 2 options because I was still only 16 years old, so I knew I only had 2 options. I could emancipate, and just leave the family, leave my family.
But where would you go at 16?
I mean, where does anyone go at 16? The streets, you know? But I love my family.
But what I'm saying is like, but you didn't have like street swag at that point. You were like a
No, not
shelter.
at
That's what I'm
all.
saying, right?
But being in this compound here, this is crazy actually. So being in this compound, being this particular program, the name of the program that I was in at the compound was called Life Focus. It was basically, like I said, like a behavioral rehab for troubled young men, right?
There probably was people there with, like, bigger behavioral
Real
issues, right?
We had actual, like, juvenile delinquents in the same program that the city of Indianapolis had sent to the cult, like, "Hey, we can't fix them. See what you can do." So, like, I was in there with guys that were drug dealers that had,
Did you learn
committed
stuff in
actual.
there? Oh,
Yes.
but you were in solitary. Not the
Only
whole
for a
time?
week. Only for a week.
Oh, and then how long were you there in general?
2 months.
And it was sleepaway place, right?
Oh, yeah, I
Like,
mean,
you
yeah,
live there.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. In dorms with these other guys. Yeah, and we all did, like, manual labor together, we did community service together, like, they just worked us sun up to sundown,
So you
basically.
met the baddies.
Yeah, well, I don't wanna call them baddies, that implies that I was attracted to them.
Is that what baddies Oh, because you said you like bad
Bad
bitches?
boys. Bad boys. There were other bad
Baddies
boys.
means you're attracted, not necessarily. I'm like, you met
Well, yeah,
the
if I said, like, "Yeah, Liat's a baddie," I wouldn't call my buddy Justin a baddie.
like the badasses, like
Yeah, yeah,
oppositional defiant ones.
the rebellious kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all in there together. Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I wanted to clarify that. I
you're in
was
there for,
not
like, the nerdy crime,
of having
a girlfriend,
a
okay,
girlfriend. Yeah, exactly.
alright. So,
So when I came back, yeah, I'd learned some stuff. I mean, I got in fights while I was there. I learned all about like, well, not all about, but I learned about drug culture to a degree. I just had those 2 months. I learned more about real life than I'd known, the collective 16 years prior. You know what I
like, did
mean?
it sound cool to you, this life they were talking to you about?
Yeah, kind of a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go do crimes, So I got back to, New England and, I just decided to thug it out for the next 2 years because I knew, like, at 18, they can't stop
Like,
me from doing
peace.
anything. Yeah, exactly. And that's literally the conversation that I had with my parents when I was 18. I was just like, "Look, I love y'all. I can."
I love you, that's what I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna fuck who I want. I'm gonna do
I'm
what
gonna
I
do
want.
what I want, I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
go where
fuck
I
who I
want,
want,
I'm gonna say what I want, and I'm gonna
but I
fuck
do
who I
have a good
want.
time with you
Yeah,
guys.
but I love y'all so much. Uh, I mean, yeah, it was basically like I can move out, I can do my own thing, or I can continue to be a part of the family, but I'm doing what I want now. I'm 18, like, can't stop me.
Right.
And so it was like kind of an
So
agreement
were
that we
you,
had.
like were you doing you said when you say thug it out sorry, I don't wanna sound like I don't get this, but you mean, like, were you being a good like, just like, "I'm gonna"
Just obey the rules,
okay.
lay low,
I took thug it
fly under the radar.
differently.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I will say, like, when I got back from the compound, I think my parents kind of realized, because they came and visited me at the compound because I got kicked out by the cult leader. Bill Gothard was the one that made the decision, like,
Like, you spoke
this
to him?
kid needs to go
Like,
home.
would
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I had a private meeting with him.
but wasn't there, like, a lot of people in this cult?
Oh, yeah. Hundreds of thousands.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay."
Yeah, it was, like, kind of a scandal that, like, there was this suspicion that this kid who was part of the Bad Boys program at this compound was fraternizing with the compound director's daughters, and so, yeah, he had a conversation with me to kinda try to see what was going on. I also got injured while I was there. We had, like, a little off-campus, um, you know, I don't even know
Sorry.
what to call it. It wasn't a party. We went and had dinner at a family's house, all the boys in the rehab, and I broke my foot, while I was at this little,
But were you, like,
gathering.
drinking with them and stuff or anything?
Oh, no, we weren't allowed to drink alcohol.
Well, and I thought
No.
maybe, like, find a way.
Oh, no, no,
Okay,
no, we were just
so
hanging out.
18, you're like, "I'm out,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "I'm gonna try some heroin."
I started with drinking and cocaine. Those
Okay.
were that was, like, kind of my foray
And, like, where
into
did you
that
find
world.
it?
Just hanging out, meeting new people.
Like, you weren't living at your parents' house anymore?
I was still living at my parents' house, but it was kind of, like, established at that point, like, I'm getting a job, I'm gonna go,
Where did you work?
experience life. My very first job, I taught piano lessons.
You play piano?
I do.
That's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, I was classically trained from, like, when I was 6 years old. So I taught piano lessons, and I got a job working for a radio station. So I was like a morning news anchor at 18 years old on this radio station.
Okay.
And so, like, I would go out to, news events to, do interviews, write stories, that sort of thing. And so I
Okay.
was meeting people that way. I was just like,
You
I
were
was
out there.
finally able to go experience life
Were you always,
on
like,
my own.
charismatic, like, you talk to people and
No, I
stuff?
was super shy, very socially awkward. I had like extreme social anxiety. But I was just kind of faking it at that point. When I tried cocaine for the first time, I was like, oh, I can be a normal person now. I can be I can be a fully functioning regular adult now.
You're like, I were they using it, like, in the news kinda show or something? Were they, like
I think it's, like, just very prevalent in entertainment in general, whether it's, like, news, media, whatever.
okay,
Yeah, I feel like especially back then, because this was, like, the early 2000s.
okay.
Um, I
But, like,
also
isn't Coke, like, kind of like a big thing to start with or no?
yeah, it's a crazy, crazy way to
Like, it
introduce
what there
yourself to
wasn't
drugs.
weed there?
I mean, I'm sure there
No,
was.
I'm saying, like, you didn't, like,
Not that
have the
I
gateway with weed or anything?
no, not really.
You're like, "Just bang, let's go."
Yeah, I just thought that was more interesting to me. I was like, "Oh, they're snorting stuff. Let me try that."
And
And
you
yeah, it
liked
was
it. So
immediately, I felt like a Jedi Knight
you remember liking it from day
from the
one?
get-go. Yeah.
Like, were you addicted from the get-go, you think?
I don't know. I don't really I don't know what I mean, I
What the
understand the
threshold is?
process of
I'm saying,
addiction,
like, were
but
you using it regularly?
pretty much, yeah. I mean, I would say not daily right away, but I was doing it pretty frequently, and then it became like a daily habit, and then it became like a really crippling addiction.
Okay, and you
Yeah.
were drinking too?
I drank a lot, yeah. Like, from the it was crazy, like, the first time well, not the first time that I drank, but the first time that I got, like, really drunk, I mean, a lot of my a lot of my friends were impressed by how much I could drink and, like, kind of maintain,
Like,
um
staying pretty, like
yeah, like, just kinda normal, like, not sloppy falling down drunk. Um, so I don't I'm like I'm part American Indian, so maybe that has something to do with it, like, how I can hold my liquor so well, I don't know.
oh,
But yeah,
interesting.
I don't know. But yeah, I drank a lot consistently throughout my addiction. Like, that
Okay.
was my alcohol was my first love, like, for sure.
So I actually listened to this podcast the other day, I think it was, like and it was, like, some I don't know, maybe, like, a neuro someone, and she was saying, like, when people have, like, a lot of people who, like, have, like, addiction issues,
Yeah.
they're like, a lot of them could actually remember the first time they drank or whatever the drug that
Mhm.
they're, like and feeling like, "Whoa, like, this is
Mhm.
unreal."
Yeah. That was
Like,
the
I'm
first
saying
time the first time I did
do you
cocaine,
like, do you remember that feeling of being like, "Whoa."
100%.
I'm
I
saying,
don't
like,
remember losing my virginity, but I remember the first time I did
how
cocaine.
old were you when you lost your virginity?
I don't know. Probably, like I think I was probably either 17 or 18, I would say. Well, no, actually, no, that's impossible.
Wouldn't have had to be 18 when you, like weren't you good until then? When you
No.
could leave?
No,
I thought you said you were gonna just thug it out,
I did, but I mean, I was still like as when I could, I would,
get it in.
do some shenanigans, yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it would have been 16, I think.
Okay.
It wasn't my high school girlfriend. I did not lose my virginity to her, but it was after the fact. And I did stuff with the compound director's daughters, obviously. But because I thought you had to I'm trying to think of a polite way to say this. I thought you had to finish inside of a girl.
For not wasting the seed?
Yeah, to actually lose your virginity. So as long as you were, you know, not finishing inside her,
Oh, but you
you're
weren't
still a
worried
virgin.
but you weren't, like, scared the gods like you're wasting your seed?
I don't know what I thought.
Like, I know because 'cause I'm saying it's just the reason I'm saying this and I'm like it's
I remember the Bible story, like, you spilled your seed, like, you're cursed now or
like,
whatever,
I'm
right?
saying, like, there's different things 'cause even, like, growing up and, like, like, in a like, I just remember even in college, like, I went to University of Maryland, which I went there because it had a lot
Oh,
of
you're a
modern
terp?
Orthodox a TERP,
Yeah.
had a lot of, like, modern Orthodox Jewish kids. Like, that's why I went there because like, other people keeping Shabbat. But you hear, like, the loopholes that people have, like, created,
Well,
They're
yeah, that's the whole soaking
like,
thing with Mormons.
yeah, can we go back to that? Can you
Yeah,
say what the soaking
of course,
concept is?
yeah.
By the way, this is a behavioral podcast, so what is this behavior we're talking about?
You tell
The
the
soaking.
soaking. Oh, what is this behavior? Okay, yeah, what is it? It's a Mormon sex loophole, where the man, he can insert his
You could say
dick.
dick.
Okay, I
Yeah.
can say dick. Okay, cool, thank you.
You could say,
I don't know what your audience is cool with. Yeah,
dick is fine.
you put your dick in the girl, and as long as you don't move, so there's no thrusting, there's no, you know, movement at all. You're basically just resting your penis inside of her.
Some religions are like, "Whatever, if it's anal, then it doesn't matter."
Yeah, Catholics. Yeah, the poop hole loophole.
Okay,
Yeah,
and then
100%.
so this is like you could have it in there, but you can't
You
move.
just can't move. It can sit in there. You can leave it in there perfectly still, and that doesn't count. That doesn't count for anything. And there's also shaking. So there's soaking and there's shaking. So as you're soaking, a friend can shake the bed for you, right, to simulate movement or thrusting or whatever. And that also doesn't count because you're not thrusting. So
So
that's
you
how
have a
you
third
can get.
person there, like just jumping.
I mean, yeah,
This is unreal.
it's real.
Actually,
No,
actually,
it's
actually,
real.
no, the kill do this.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah, I've talked to many Mormons about it.
This is actually so funny because in behavior, we always talk about like being able to identify if something's actually a behavior or not. And basically, there's something called the dead man test. And the dead
Oh,
man test is if a dead man can do it, it's not behavior. So, like, just because when you're working on like like people's meaning, like if it's like, oh, um, I want to work on this person's behavior of raising their hand. That's a behavior.
yeah.
A dead man can't do it.
Mhm.
But it's like, um, can a dead man get hit in the head with a bag of chips? Yes. So it's not a behavior because like he's not actually doing anything. It's kind of like, is this an actual
I
behavior?
mean,
Can a
theoretically,
dead man
soak
soak?
and shake. I mean,
But you'd be
theoretically,
like
yeah.
soft, probably get it in,
I
and
thought, like, when you died,
you hard when you die.
I think so. Isn't that a thing?
That's
Julia, look that up. Look that look up,
you think you're hard when you die.
like, rigor mortis. Like, does your dick get hard?
That's kind of
I
God to
mean,
do
that would
that.
be kinda.
That's kind of God to be like, let them end with dignity.
Yeah, give him a boner. Yeah. Um, but, yeah, I mean, theoretically, I guess you could soak and shake
Well, you
with a
couldn't shake. Someone else is
dead
doing that
body,
behavior, so the other person's doing that.
but that's on them. The dead man isn't involved in that behavior. He's just he's
This
just
is this
laying
is
there.
good.
He's just laying there, you know? So,
I love this. Okay, so but
Julie,
you
did you
got
find it?
Uh, I mean, it's saying like if you die like while you have an erection, like
Oh, it's not like a spontaneous thing. Like, you shit yourself when you die, right?
yeah,
That's
I've
the
heard
thing?
that.
yeah.
Yeah. How hilarious would that be? You just shit yourself and get a boner? Oh, he's dead. He's clearly dead. He is covered in shit and hard as fuck.
Let me write it one more time
Let
and
me
block my nose.
just
You can experience a post mortem erection.
There we go. See?
Or maybe because like your blood's running out of your body, like different.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty
All
cool.
right.
Pretty cool stuff. Now you know.
Now you know. Thanks so much for coming today. This was great. We learned a lot today's episode. Okay, so now I wanna talk about drugs. So you're
Yeah.
drinking,
Yeah.
like you're drinking, you're using coke. Are you like tell me about your drug journey?
Oh boy. So the drug journey is kind of interesting because there's so much of
Like
it that
how
I
bad I want
just
to know
don't
the kind of
remember.
things I want to know. I'm gonna let you lead the
Mm,
podcast. You said
mhm.
how bad it got,
Yeah.
like
So
where it started, where it
it started up in New England. And I would say, like, I started experimenting a lot when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21. I would say it didn't really get bad. Like, I didn't start seeing a lot of the consequences until I was 22. Um, I think that's probably the point at which, like, I was a full blown addict. Was like 22 years old.
and
Um,
what was it just coke and alcohol? I
it
mean
was
not just, but like
Yeah, it was primarily cocaine and alcohol, but I was also experimenting at that point with like a lot of opiates, heroin, Xanax, hallucinogens, stimulants, MDMA, Molly, all this other stuff, right? So 22 is when it started getting, like, I would say that was like kind of the start of um, the downward spiral, if you will.
were
Um,
you like holding a job during this time or
yeah, very much so. Yeah, I've always been a very functional addict and alcoholic. Like, I was somehow able to, like, maintain.
okay, so you'd show up at work every day.
Mhm. Yeah. I was actually, like, pretty successful. I had to be because I was spending so much money on drugs.
Okay, like how much money
I mean,
at like crazy times?
I would say at the height of it, I would say I was probably spending maybe, like, a little under $1,000 a week between everything. Like, between all the alcohol, all the drugs, like, it was probably around $1,000 a week. I was broke when I finally got sober. Like, I was broke because I was spending everything on drugs.
And were you like all day, like even at work you'd use, or
So, yes, yeah, I would, I kinda had, like, a routine. When it got really bad, so I started on street drugs. I started, like, experimenting with cocaine, I experimented with heroin, obviously. I stopped doing heroin, um, like, probably around 24-ish, I would say. I didn't do heroin anymore.
how'd you stop?
I, methadone, methadone, and, I just drank a lot.
So
Like,
you just like replaced one for another. Like you're
yeah,
like, oh wait, if I'm done with this, I'll just up
I
this.
basically just got wasted so I could detox off of heroin and not feel it, which is insane because I was,
Wait, and something you said to me, unless I'm, didn't you tell me like you kind of did the reverse? Like a lot of people
mhm.
start with
A lot of people start
like
with
pain
pills.
meds or
Yeah,
something, and then it's like
yeah,
once you can't access them anymore, then you'll go to street drugs.
right.
Yours kind of went the
It
opposite.
went the opposite way. Yeah, I experimented with, or I used cocaine and heroin first.
Like you shot it up.
No, I actually either snorted or smoked it. I didn't ever really I mean, I did. I've shot up before, but, like, I was primarily either smoking it or snorting it,
Okay.
and primarily snorting it, which is why I don't have any cartilage left on my nose. But yeah, I mean, I never really was an IV user. Every now and then, but,
Because you didn't like needles or what?
it just felt dirty to me. It felt gross and dirty. I didn't wanna do that. Like, there's
That's amazing that you had like some like
some morals about my
that you're
drug
like,
use, yeah.
like I don't really want to like
It's a
get like
waste. I mean,
HIV positive.
I
That's what I
absolutely should have
said
been
to you.
shooting it,
I
yeah.
was like, I was like, wait, but isn't that a waste of the
Of the drugs? Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, there's no better way to get high than injecting, obviously. And that's what it I'm sure at some point, if I hadn't, like, bounced back and
if you had to
forth.
redo it now, would you
Yeah,
go
if I had
back?
to go back and redo my drug addiction, I would've just been shooting coke and
If
heroin,
you could
just
flip a switch.
speedballs nonsense. If I could but yeah,
Switch gay, switch
IV
injecting.
user,
Yeah.
yeah, mhm, yeah. So it was, I don't know, it was just such an interesting
So
experience for
what
me.
what made you like what I want to know is like nothing happens out of nowhere. So like you're not like one day like,
Think I'll try that. It was the people I was hanging out with.
well that and but no, but that you're like I'm going to stop using heroin
Oh,
or pills.
one of my buddies, his brother died from a heroin overdose, and I was like, "Ooh," and he wasn't really doing heroin anymore either, so I was like, maybe I'll just take a little break."
But you could take a break like that just like
Yeah, I mean, after I got through the detox, and so I'd like that's
did you need help with cuz you were on methadone.
I used methadone, right? And then I also would take, like, either Percocets or Roxys or, just
What's
like
Roxy's?
Roxy it's basically like the same thing as a Percocet.
Okay.
It's like lower grade. I mean, lower grade is crazy to say about an opiate, but yeah, it's like a lower grade. It's not OxyContin, basically.
It's like a Norco. No, cooler than
Yeah,
like
yeah,
stronger than Norco.
Norco and Vicodin, I mean, that's pretty much the same thing, right? Just
I have no
acetaminophen
idea.
and heroin, essentially. But yeah, I mean, so I would still use opiates, I just wasn't doing heroin consistently anymore.
And you kind of like make these like rationales like it's fine because I'm not if I'm doing this like this is
Right,
better. These are prescribed.
exactly. Yeah, like, "Oh, I'm not a street drug user, I'm doing pharmaceuticals.
Like
Doctors prescribe these, it's fine.
like
If doctors are
the
prescribing
Sackler
them,
family.
it's actually good for me."
Did you watch any of those
No,
documentaries?
uh-uh.
Any of like the dope sick?
Mm-mm.
They're interesting. Okay, so
At some point, I moved back to Texas, so I was about 25 years old. Things had gotten so bad in New England, especially with, like, a lot of the cocaine use and, some of the people that I was affiliated with up there, organized crime type stuff, that
were your
I
parents worried about you?
oh, my parents, yes, they were worried about me, but they did not know the extent of it. I, like, was very good at hiding my life from my parents. I still lived at home too. But there were just times where I would, be out indefinitely, or they knew I would be staying with a friend or,
Would you
something
be
along
like
those
dating
lines.
girls who did this too and stuff?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're like probably in like some toxic codependent relationships, like
Oh,
getting drugs and
extremely. Yeah, very much so. Um, but I think because of the way I grew up, I was always very independent. So I never felt like, up until a point, I never felt dependent on another person. Like, it always felt like they were very dependent on me, and we had this toxic.
Were you like the provider of the
Mhm.
like? You'd be like, "You don't need to go sell your body, girl. I got you."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I didn't date any prostitutes. Um,
You really do have some moral compass there.
I yeah,
Thank God for the principles of life cult, whatever
right?
it's called.
I mean, I think there were a lot of things about growing up religious and growing up, with these strict morals that probably saved me from much worse
Like there was like
situations.
some things in there still, right? Like
Oh, yeah, there was very much. Oh, I the guilt was overwhelming at all times. I think that's what probably led to a lot of, like, the extreme depression that I experienced.
like I mean, do you think you started using them like because you were depressed, or at first it started off like
I had a therapist ask me that. I really don't know. I think I really just wanted to experience everything.
because that's what I'm wondering because it's like whenever we're talking about behavior, we always like
Yeah.
I'm saying like you look at the function. It's like, well, is this person using drugs as an escape mechanism? Are they using it or are they doing it like for the attention because they're like that much more friendly and cool when they're
Mm.
on the drug? Like yours, I mean,
Yeah.
it does seem like there was some like we talk about something called motivating operations, which is like you were definitely deprived of a lot of these things. So like you want
Right.
to try it all. You're
Yeah,
like,
I just
so that
wanted
was
to
one.
experience. Yeah.
But then, so which part was the depression at? Like when did you like were you depressed when you started?
I
Or you
don't
feel like
know. Isn't that weird? Whoa. I really don't know. I don't think so. I mean, like I said, I had a relatively good childhood. Um, I wasn't abused. I mean, I was spanked and that sort, but I
right,
mean, we all were,
weren't we
right?
all?
Yeah. So I never had like any kind of like, well, not any kind of, but I didn't have extreme physical trauma growing up.
I
I
mean, but
don't think
also,
I was
but
depressed.
maybe like it could have come on like also later. Like I mean, the amount of drugs you're
True.
using, the ups, the downs, the
Oh, yeah. Oh, very much. That was one of the craziest things about, like, when I got sober, I didn't realize I had back problems until I got sober because I was so fucked up all the time. I never felt my back pain, and then once I got sober, I was like, "Why does my back hurt all the time? This is weird." And I went to a doctor and, realized, like, "Oh, I have 2 bulged discs. I just never knew because I was on opiates all the time." I was drunk and on opiates constantly, so I never felt the back pain.
okay. So at this point, you're not doing comedy though.
No, 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 I did play in bands. I played in a lot of bands. Um,
Piano.
keyboard, guitars, sang, songwrite, yeah.
Oh, so you were just like musically
Very, yeah.
inclined in
That
general.
that that really that was my original dream, was to be like a professional musician,
That's
but
cool.
I got so fucked up on drugs, I could never maintain. I could never maintain, like, because it's one thing to work in an office and be a drug addict. It's another thing to be in the entertainment world and be a drug addict where it's like expected and encouraged, right? So like I couldn't get I couldn't get super fucked up at work. I could do cocaine, I could do Adderall, I could be drunk as long as I wasn't like blackout, right? But playing in a band, you could be annihilated. And that was almost like, oh well, yeah, he's a rock star. So that's what they
Like
do.
it's reinforced in that environment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where in another one, it's like looked down upon,
Correct.
aka
Yeah.
punished. Call that
There we go. The parrying and the
decreases.
punishment and
Yeah,
the
I know.
Pavlovian
Sorry, just got it
responses
all.
and
Yeah, exactly. You get it.
mhm.
So at which point are you? So you move back to Texas? Are you like?
Yeah. I was 25 when I moved back to Texas. Yeah.
Because like you've now been clean for 11 years
I've been clean for, yeah, almost 12 years.
because you said 10 years on your episode
That's
or
right.
your special, and that looked like it was a year ago. So almost 12 years.
Mhm.
That's really fucking cool.
Thank you. Pound it.
Found it.
But I got sober when I was 29.
How? Like, what was your like? I like. Were
Ye
you like? Did you hit a rock bottom?
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And it was
Like how rocky?
that that I was in a codependent relationship at that point. Like, that was when I moved back to Texas. um, I met a girl, well, it was about 2 years after I'd moved back. I dated here and there, had some serious relationships that, lasted, 6 months to a year. But then I met this other girl that I fell head over heels for. She was my entire identity. Like, that was God to me. You know what I
She
mean?
was
Like,
like a drug.
very much so. And she was also an addict. So it was perfect, right?
Hmm.
I didn't know she was an addict actually when we first started dating. I had no idea. But she was like on maintenance methadone when we met. and I had no clue. Um,
Are people like secret about that?
very, very ashamed and very secret about it. Yeah.
So like you guys both didn't know about each other?
She knew that I, did drugs and drank a lot, but she didn't know the extent of it.
Okay.
And then, at some point, like we got a little more honest with each other. Um, and then she wanted to taper off methadone because I mean, we got very serious and, talked about having a family and she's like, I can't have kids if I'm on methadone. And so she started tapering off the methadone. And when she started tapering off, she got back into like street drugs. Yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad. And it was such a toxic relationship. Like we were both just in we were both in such a bad place, like mentally and emotionally. It never would have worked anyway. But I was so in love with this girl, in spite of how often I cheated on her. I was so in love with her. She cheated on me a bunch too, Julia. Chill out. Um,
It wasn't me, it was the drugs.
it was it. I mean, truly. But yeah, I mean,
Was that like the most in love you've ever been with someone?
no, no, but it was the first time I'd really experienced, like, this obsession with someone where I'm just like, "This is it. I don't ever want anything else," right? Um, so, we ended up getting engaged. Um, our wedding was set, and 30 days before we were supposed to get married, it had gotten so bad. I mean, honestly, for both of us, but me, being a selfish addict, observing her, I was like, "She is a mess." And my parents were terrified, like, so concerned. My mom was in town. They still lived in New England. She had come in town to, like, help us with the wedding planning and, all that, and she was just,
You
like,
were like doing like regular like people things, like wedding planning and
still
this and
having a
that.
job and just being a complete fucking junkie. Yeah, and so she was I mean, her addiction had gotten really bad, and so 30 days before we were supposed to get married, I, like, had a conversation with her. I was like, "We can't do this. I can't marry you right now. It's like, we'll get married and just get divorced right away. Like, you're fucked up," you know? So, I mean, it was incredibly selfish of me, but it was the only thing I knew how to do at the time, right? So we called off the wedding.
I mean,
Um,
selfish? Not really. I
I
mean,
mean
you mean that you were like looking at her problem as opposed to being like your is an issue too?
mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's easier to see others than ourselves.
Yeah, and really it's just a mirror, I didn't
Right.
I all I saw was myself and her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, she ended up, agreeing to go to rehab. I took her to rehab. I was drunk, took her to rehab, to get her checked in. Um, it was a whole process. I got a little tour on a golf cart of the rehab facility, and I was drunk. I saw someone in there that I knew. I was like, "Oh, fuck," so I
And you're like the hero taking her.
yeah, yeah, drunk, like, wasted, like, dropping her off at rehab. Um So, she was in rehab. Like, after I dropped her off, I left and just went on a crazy bender. I should also say that I had had, like, some, like, pretty serious family tragedies, right around the same time as well. So I was, like, not in a good place either. Like, I was in a, like, really dark place, actually.
So there was like some
Um,
environmental triggers to make this worse.
yeah, very
Okay.
much so. So I just, like, went on this crazy bender. I honestly don't know how long she was in the rehab facility when I got a phone call that um, she was being kicked out of rehab because she had smuggled drugs into rehab that I didn't know about. And they were like, that wasn't necessarily the problem. It was that she shared them with other patients. So she was doing drugs and sharing drugs with
So
other.
she is a kind girl. She
Oh, she's
shares.
such a sweetheart. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get them in there to share. It's kind.
And I really feel like she is a good person. She's just
I mean, drugs take over people. It's not
truly,
like
truly,
it's not.
it's a disease,
It really is.
and it fundamentally changes who you are a lot of times. Um, so anyways, she gets kicked out. I'm fucked up. You know what's crazy? I didn't know this until a little while after I got sober. Um, apparently, while she was in rehab, like, she needed cigarettes and she wanted a picture of us for her room. And I, like, drove this stuff out to her at the rehab facility, which was, like, an hour away from my house. I don't remember it at all. Like, drove this stuff out to her, dropped it off for her, but I was so fucked up while she was in there that I have no recollection of it.
So you're just like driving around everywhere fucked up.
Probably.
Like the fact, do you get in any accidents?
Yeah, I did, never got a ticket, never went to jail, never got arrested. I got detained a bunch of times, but, Never had any legal issues.
She just got lucky.
I just kept cash on me. You can everyone everyone's for sale. But,
Even here,
yeah,
police.
yeah, like $1,000? You offer a police officer $1,000 cash, chances are, unless it was something really serious, you're
I
good.
thought, but I thought it's like all in like. I did that one time for like a speeding thing when I was in South Africa, and I felt like the shit.
Bribing the cops.
I was like, my friend who's from Ecuador told me to just give them some money.
"Here's
So
20 bucks."
it was literally, and I did in South Africa, and it was like dumb. Like I didn't have a driver's license or anything because like, my dad had been like driving us on like my parents are South African,
Mm,
whatever. But I didn't know you could do it here.
you can, yeah.
I mean,
It's probably
I
more
get it.
it's more expensive here for sure,
Yeah.
right? You don't have the exchange rate advantage that you do in South Africa and Mexico and that sort of
So you
thing,
just
but
had a
yeah,
lot of cash on you.
always,
So you're
always
making a
comes
lot of
along.
money on the
I
side.
al well, I wouldn't say I was making a lot of money on the set, I just knew I needed to keep cash on me for those types of situations, so I didn't get a DWI or I didn't get, arrested for other reasons. Anyways, um, so, uh, she gets kicked out of the rehab, I go to find her in this, like, town where she went to rehab, and I figured I'll just drive around the town until I see her
You don't
truck.
remember even driving.
I I do remember driving around looking for her. And I remember calling other rehabs to see if I could get her into another facility. I was obsessed with this woman,
Like,
obsessed with her. Um,
was she
so
hot?
so hot,
Can I see a picture later?
absolutely. She before she dated me, she dated Scott Stapp, the lead singer of Creed, and while we were together,
So you felt like you were peaking,
she cheated on me with Chris Angel while she was in Vegas. Yeah, I mean, I had a completely
like the
separate girl,
magician.
the mind freak. Yeah, yeah. I had a whole other girlfriend too, so, I mean, don't
So
don't
don't feel
get mad
bad
at
for
her.
me.
Yeah,
Don't feel
don't feel
bad for
bad for me.
me.
Don't feel bad for her either, though, honestly. Um, but yeah, so I drove out to this town to try to find her. I'm driving around the town. I see her truck. I was like, "That's her." So I start following the truck. I'm, like, honking my horn, flashing my lights. Her truck finally pulls over, and I realize she's in the passenger seat. There's another dude driving, and there's 2 other guys in the back seat. So she's just with, like, these 3 random dudes, and I'm like, "What the fuck is happening?" Right? Okay. Here's here's what's interesting. When I decided I gotta go find her, right? I found out she'd been kicked out of rehab. Now I gotta go find her. I knew that I needed to have all my faculties about me to be able to locate her, and so I had not done any drugs or drank. At this point, like, when I found her, it had been about 24 hours, since
And
I'd
that's
taken
long.
any drug. Yes, that's a lot. The most I'd ever stayed sober up until this point, up until I actually got sober, was 10 days. That's the longest I could make it, and then I would end up drinking again or doing some
Right.
sort of drug,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking, "Oh, I'll just, like, have a couple beers and it'll be fine. I've got it under control now," and then it would, get worse.
Okay.
Anyways, so I've been sober for 24 hours at this point when I find her truck and she's
You
with these
really
2
are in
other
love with
dudes.
her. You waited a full
Oh,
24 hours.
obsessed. Yeah. Um, I have a conversation with these dudes. I offer 'em money. "Just let me take her. Y'all take, this cash, and I'll take her to another facility,"
But
and
like, what kind of dudes are these?
one of them was apparently sober and did end up getting her into another rehab facility, and the other 2
See,
guys
but like,
were
why would you need to pay them off? It's not like they were like taking her to sell her body in Mexico or
no, I
something.
just wanted they were telling me, like, "No, we're taking care of her, she's fine, like, you just need to leave," and I was like, "Listen, I'll give you cash, just get the fuck out of here, I got this," right?
You love your cash. Okay.
I thought it would work on him, and it did not. Um, so she finally like, I'm arguing with these guys, almost getting a fight. One of the skinny little junkie wanted to, fight me because I called him a piece of shit or something. I don't know, whatever. But the sober guy that was driving her truck, he was actually the one that kind of like diffused the situation.
Okay.
He's dead now, by the way. Um,
From drugs.
yeah, he overdosed. So he did not stay sober. Anyways,
Oh.
so she finally gets out of the truck, approaches me, and I don't remember a whole lot of the conversation that I had with these guys, but I remember this in particular is she told me, "I can't be with you anymore. You have to let me go." And it just broke my fucking heart like there on the spot. And I was just like, okay. So I got back in my car. I drove home. Remember, I've been sober
For 24
for
hours.
over 24 hours at this point, right? I'm detoxing heavily. And I know it. and I'm fucked up. Like,
You're just, like, sweating and, like
yeah. But the pain from this, like, emotional devastation, hearing the person that I'm obsessed with, that I care about more than anything else in the world telling me, "I don't want you, you have to let me go." Right? It's like,
heart there's I literally think there's nothing worse than heartbreak.
it was like, I didn't even feel the effects of the detox, I was so fucked up over that, right? So,
Did you go straight use?
no, that's the crazy part, right? Because 'Cause I'm in a town, I don't know anyone, I'm not gonna go try to find drugs at this point, I'm not gonna go to a bar, I just need to get the fuck out of there, right? So, I drive home, I don't remember the drive home, back to my pla again, it's about, I think where I found her, it was about an hour and a half away from my house. I drive home, I get to my driveway, I park my car in my driveway, and I start, now that my adrenaline's, like, I'm home, I'm just sitting there in my car, and I feel like something is wrong. Something bad is happening right now. I don't know what's going on, but I don't feel right, and I blacked out. Like, I had a seizure in my car,
From
like,
from not drinking?
from not drinking. At that point, I was drinking every day. I was drinking, doing Adderall, Xanax, and OxyContin. So that was like my
Because with drinking, if you, like, stop, you have a seizure.
with Xanax, if you stop, you have a seizure.
Oh, okay, so all
Yeah.
this together, it was
All of
like
this together, it, like, hit me, like, as soon as I parked my car in my driveway, I, like, sat there for a second, I was like, "I don't feel right. Something's wrong." I've overdosed before, this doesn't feel like an overdose, but something feels really fucked up right now, and then I blacked out, and I woke up, and I was like, I'd thrown up on myself, and, like,
did anyone find you?
no, I just woke up. I woke up still in my car, but I just, like, woke up. I was
Thank
like,
God you had, like, parked. It's, like, crazy your body knew you, like,
right? My
survival-wise, like, you need
brain
to
was
make
just
it
like,
here.
"Okay, now you can seize out. That it's fine now." Um And so, like, I get out of my car, like, I'm just not in a good place, obviously, like, I'm very disoriented, my whole fucking body hurts, like, everything
Did
just
you
hurts at
realize
this
it was a
point.
seizure at that point or not?
I thought I I mean,
I mean,
when
you're
I
just
got
living
out
a
of my
fucked up
car
life at that point, so
and
it's like
everything hurts like that, I was like, "Something happened. It had to have been a seizure." I mean, what else could it be? And it dawned on me, like, "Oh, I haven't done drugs in 24 hours, so yeah, that's probably what it is." Like, I'm fully sober right now, I just, like, cold turkey hard. Um So I, like, walk into my house and, I'm so fucked up at this point, and, there was, like, a lot of thoughts running through my head, and I just kinda had a moment where I was like, something has to change. Something has to change. I've tried everything at this point. I wanted to be sober. I didn't wanna be on drugs anymore. I couldn't get really high at that point anymore. I just did drugs to not feel
to
sick.
maintain.
Yeah, I just didn't wanna feel sick, and so it wasn't
By the
fun
way, anyone
anymore.
studying, that is gonna be at that point so it started off, he was doing the drugs, it seems like, for positive reinforcement to get, like, a high,
Yeah,
listening, and then at a certain point, it became negative reinforcement more as, like, an avoidance, like, at this point, I'm not even getting the high anymore. This is just to avoid feeling sick
right.
or to get out of that okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was it was so bad at that point, like, I'd tried to get sober multiple times, but like I told you, I couldn't stay sober for more than 10 days. And it's an addiction. I mean, addiction is a disease. It truly is. I believe that wholeheartedly. Um, so I'm back at my house. I know something has to change, but I'm still worried about her. I'm still so worried about her. So I call the rehab that she got kicked out of. And I call him up. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm so worried about her. Is there anything that I can do for me right now? Like, and they told me, they were like, it really. We have a family support group in San Antonio where I live. We have a family support group there. We really think you should go to this family support meeting. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So I go to this family support meeting and quickly realize, as soon as I got there, I was like, "Oh, this is an AA meeting. What the fuck? This isn't support. I don't need this. I'm fine. Like, it's her that's fucked up." You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But there was someone that I knew at this AA meeting that recognized me. I didn't actually really know her. She just recognized me. And she, like, walked up to me and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Well, I thought this was a family support meeting, but, you know, this is obviously not what that is. So I think I'm gonna leave." And she was like, "I think you should stay." And she was hot. So I was like, heartbreak. I was heartbroken, right?
Vulnerable.
I mean, we've done this before with the compound director's daughters. I was heartbroken over my high school girlfriend, found solace in another woman's arms. I'm thinking,
Mhm.
"No, I can find solace in her arms too." Like, I'm pretty fucked
Did
up
you
right
hook up
now.
with her?
Eventually, we kinda messed around, but,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
anyways. Yeah, so she convinced me to stay for this AA meeting, and, it was interesting because this particular AA meeting, it was a speaker meeting, so they brought someone in to, like, tell their story, to share their story with the group,
Mhm.
and, she was telling her, it was a lady, an older lady, and she was, like, telling us her story, and it was very inspiring, very cool, and, I was really glad that I stayed and, kinda listened to her story. I was like, "Wow, this lady could really help my girlfriend. She could."
Nothing's for you. It's
Nothing
all
for
for
me.
her.
It's all
Yeah.
for her. Yeah. I was like, "This lady could really help my girlfriend." So I actually went up to her after the meeting because I wanted to, introduce myself. I wanted to see if maybe she would be willing to call my girlfriend and, just like offer some help to her. And so we're talking, and I'm like, "Yeah, I really would, I would love to get you in touch with my girlfriend." I was like, "Okay, well, you can give her my number." I was like, "Okay, that's cool." I was like, "Oh, by the way, my name's Davey." And she was like, "Oh, I know who you are." I was like, what do you mean you know who I am?" She was like, "When you dropped your girlfriend off at rehab, I was the one that gave you a tour of the facility in the golf cart. When you called asking, like, what can I do? I was the one you talked to. I told you to come to this meeting. And now here you are." And that was like a breakthrough moment for me. Like when I realized, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And that's how I got sober.
And so you like leaned into the AA.
Mhm. That was all I needed. Like that moment right there was just like, I'm exactly where I need to be.
And so are you still in AA? Or you're for life, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still go to meetings. I don't go to as many meetings as I used to. AA saved my life, like 100,000%. Like I would not still be here, I don't think. I don't see how I would because I tried to get sober so many times. I tried going back to church. I tried to pray away my addiction so many times. Just ended up doing coke in the church bathrooms. Uh, it was insane, right? And so
I
I
mean, but if
just,
you're on the coke, at least you could pray harder.
oh, so hard and so fast. Um, but yeah, I thought I was a hopeless case. And so going to
So you didn't
AA,
even go to rehab.
mm-mm, never did.
Were you in Houston?
San Antonio.
Okay. I'm just wondering because there's AA and NA.
Yes, I went to AA.
But like you could get the benefit because like the principles are the same, right?
NA and AA are a little different, but I mean, it's still a 12-step program. Yeah, the NA has a different book. I think I'm pretty sure they have a different book.
So like you follow different things, like make amends and
Hmm. Make the inventory, make the amends, help other people. So yeah, I still follow a lot of the principles of AA. I'll still go to meetings. I don't go, like I said, I don't go as often as I used to go, like twice a week, every week. Um,
do you still like a big part of it's also like talking to people, right?
mhm. Yeah, I've got people that I talk to quite a bit. Um,
Are you a sponsor?
I am not currently, no, uh, but I would love to. I talk to a lot of people that need help that know my story. So I'm not currently taking anyone through the steps, but I help whenever I can. I think that's like my purpose.
Which
Aside from doing stand-up comedy
which
is
like
like,
what kind of brings you to comedy
mhm,
because like even when you say something like that on the stage when you're like, yeah, like I've been clean for the last 12 years, like
mhm.
so take me to finding stand-up comedy now. Like
Yeah. So when I got sober,
because I also imagine also in the comedy world probably there's a lot of drugs and alcohol too.
so much. It's a lot, like it's not as bad as the music industry, but it's bad. And stand-up comedy has gotten so popular now that a lot of like, the more famous comedians, they're legitimately like a rock star. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like as recognizable, as admired, as followed as like a full-blown rock star. Selling out arenas and shit, right? So I got sober, I was 29. Um, my I thought that what I wanted was to become very successful in business and just make a shitload of money, right? Um, take care of my friends, take care of my family,
Wait,
that
and
sort
you
of thing.
said that you tested out a so you
Out of
did get a
undergrad, I tested out undergrad. I went back
so you
after I
got a
got sober.
degree
Yeah,
in what?
business finance.
Okay.
And then
That's
after I
hot.
got sober, thank you. After I got sober, I went to grad school. I got my master's degree in business as well.
Like an MBA?
Uh-huh.
That's hot.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty hot. I'm, uh I'm a businessman, first and
Looking for
foremost.
a man in finance. Six. How tall are you?
That trend, 6'2".
6'2",
Mhm. I've got it all.
blue eyes,
No, I don't. I'm brown, hazel.
hazel, hazel. That will do.
That'll
Okay.
work, right? I mean, it's not blue, but
I think it's actually rare. Mine are also kind of like hazel green. I don't know if you were looking at my eyes at all this whole time.
I thought they were just blue.
No, they're not.
They
You
change
weren't looking
color.
at my eyes.
They change colors in different lights.
No, they're like green and yellow in the sun.
No, it's like there's like a blue ring around the outside, like a very dark blue ring
No one's
around the
ever seen
outside.
that in me. Thanks,
See?
Dave.
I pay attention, and this is how I gaslight women. No, uh,
I'm gonna do what I want.
I swear.
How did you get in front of a microphone?
I
Did you know you were funny always? Like, when's the first time you realized you were funny?
Yeah, I've always like people have always told me I'm really funny,
Yeah.
but it's always been like in a conversational environment, right? And like I
I
played in
imagine just like you're
bands,
quick, like more like you're also like quick, like in responding.
sarcastic,
Yeah.
and
Like
yeah,
quick
uh,
witted.
yeah. I I'd made some funny sketches that people really liked for social media. I'd written like some funny articles and stuff that were people on the internet enjoyed, whatever. So I've always been like funny, uh, but music was like my passion, right? After I got sober, I was in, I'd tried to do the band thing a little bit after I got sober, and it wasn't the same, you know. Um, and I was really focused on business at that point as well. So I like kind of threw myself into business, made a bunch of money. That was cool. Flew around on private jets, like did all kinds of cool shit. Um, but then I
Like
realized one
you were
day,
making good amount of money.
yeah, but it didn't make me happy. I thought it would make me happy, and it really didn't. At the end of the day, just wasn't satisfying. I was still happy as a person, but that was not. It wasn't bringing me the level of satisfaction that I wanted, or that I thought I would achieve, like making a lot of money. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I want to do something different. Let me try. One of my buddies who's been very influential throughout, I mean, ever since I moved back to Texas. I met him when I moved back to Texas, and he's been very influential in my life. Like just the advice that he gives, the experience that he's had. He was actually the one that kind of convinced me, or he didn't convince me. He was the catalyst for me deciding not to get married to my ex fiance.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were talking one day, and he was the one that convinced me to go to grad school as well. I went to grad school at the same time he did.
Who's his friend? What's his name?
Um, I don't know if I want to say his name. He's a really good dude, though.
I'm saying like he needs a shout out. You don't say his name, but like wow, he's like
He's
literally like a good board of
You know
advisors.
what? His name's Kenny. I can say that. His name's Kenny.
Okay.
And he's just had a lot of life experience. He's very like hyper intelligent, and he's a guy that I've just always had a lot of respect for. He's a great person.
Wow.
So he told me, "You're really funny, dude. I like tried to do stand up comedy, did some shows, did some open mics. I really think you should try it." And I was like, Okay, I'll do it. Yeah, let me try writing a little set, let me do like 5 minutes in an open mic and just see what I think. I've always been a fan of comedy. I love watching specials. I bought Mitch Hedberg's double album like way back in the day. And so I went to an open mic in San Antonio, performed in front of like 10 people. They loved me, and I was immediately hooked. Like immediately. Knew right then and there, oh, I want to do this. Like I really want to do this. And I'm a very extreme person, like a very all or nothing person. And so I was
Like I'm
like,
gonna lean in.
very I'm gonna I have like an obsessive personality in that way. Like I'm going to be the best at this. I'm going to throw everything I have at it. This will be my life, you know? Um and so I was still I was still working as an executive officer for a company,
Like in
and
corporate.
in corporate, yeah. And it, I ended up resigning from that position a few months later because it wasn't satisfying to me anymore. Um,
Like you got that high from this, and you're
mhm.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think stand-up comedy might actually be worse than heroin. It's, like, so addicting to me. It's all of it. It's the energy that you receive from the crowd, it's the high
yeah.
that you get performing, the fun that you get to have, the people that you get to
Like
meet.
you're also getting such reinforcement. Like getting that laugh and
Yeah.
like bringing people to a different place is amazing.
Yeah, getting to enjoy and appreciate a moment together is so crazy to me. And, you experience that as a musician, but when you're performing with a band on stage, I've tried to explain this to people, and maybe you'll understand it more, Leon. When you're performing with a band on stage and you have an audience that loves your music and they're having a good time, the energy that you receive is very profound, right? But it's very chaotic in a band music environment, right? It's kind of all over the place. You've got your bandmates on stage with you. Um, People are having a good time, and so you're receiving that very positive energy, but it's kind of it's all over the place. It's like I said, it's chaotic. When you're performing stand-up comedy in front of 300 people, every single person in that room, their energy is like directly trained on you. It's not about the music, it's not about the other performers, it's just you, and it hits you in the chest like a fucking laser beam. It's crazy the feeling that you get. So it's this concentrated energy that you receive standing on stage making people laugh. So the chaotic energy of music versus this concentrated energy of stand-up comedy, it's
I'm gonna try
an
to analyze that for
insane
you.
experience.
So I'm gonna try to analyze that for you. First of all, the one thing I heard anyone what we see here, first of all, was matching law. Like you're like in this corporate environment where maybe you're making I'm sure you're making a lot more money at the time, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? We call it matching law, and it states that behavior goes where reinforcement flows. So like basically you have the secure job, this, that, but like the level of reinforcement you were getting somewhere else, like so you were allocating your time there.
Mm,
So like it wasn't so that was number one, matching law. Like you're like this comedy like makes me feel alive or whatever it
mhm.
is. But what you're saying, what how I would explain what you're saying behaviorally about like being on the stage, first of all, you said you were a little bit of a control freak
I
in a
can be,
sense.
yeah, yeah.
Like when you are the person up there, like you have what's called stimulus control that like
Mm, okay.
you have them pre-attending to you. You are in complete control of like how this audience is going to respond. When you're in a band, like you're only like one part of it, right?
Right.
And like this is like you are like and people think of the word like manipulating as a bad thing, but you're essentially manipulating their behavior. Like, I'm about to drop this, and this is about to like, we're about to see an escalation. Like, people are gonna love this. I'm about to do
Mhm.
this. Like, you are like perfectly in control of like orchestrating, like I'm sure you've fine-tuned what we call shaping your behavior. Exactly. You're like, no, I know this one needs a 2-second longer break before we're gonna deliver this because
Yeah.
this is about to slam.
Mhm.
Right. And like you have this level of control. And when it does it, that level is like such a high.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Like I'm telling you, I even get this, like, with my teaching and, like, the laying out the jokes and the teaching and this and the that, and, like, when you see them, like, "Oh my god, they totally understood that joke that I was getting there." I thought it was, it's like, to come down from it at night is, like, hard, right?
Extremely.
Like,
Talking to people right after a show can be a little overwhelming because I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's like a sensory overload thing. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but, like, usually I have to, like, just sit for a little while after I performed.
poor
Um,
thing after your show, and then I just was, like, there, like, just, like, bombarding you with questions
well,
about the
no,
cult.
because Jiao Ying was headlining, so I'd already had my chance to just kinda, like,
Oh,
decompress.
I was like, "Sorry
So
about
if I
that."
had been headlining, I don't know I don't know how Jiao Ying does it because
She goes right out and
she'll
talks.
crush this audience, right? And then go straight out there and meet everyone, and I'm just like, I would be losing my mind.
You just need a minute to, like, come down.
Mhm. Yeah. Eddie, I performed with Eddie Griffin, and he actually won't even let anyone touch him or shake his hand directly after a performance. He has to take, like, 10 or 15 minutes or something like that just to, like, gather his energy back, essentially.
Because 'cause you're putting a lot out there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Also, like, what I find, like, with, like, the unique, like, kinda teaching I'm doing, like, with the it also requires so much energy because first of all, you're trying to figure out, like, where's the audience at, right? You're,
Mhm.
like, engaging that.
Mhm.
I mean, I happen to also be, like, writing my notes at the same time of, like, telling a joke. So you're writing, you're doing this, but then you're also, like it's very important that you are, like, so aware of, like, whether it's, like, I don't know how to say, like, your syntax or, like, the order of the words you're putting out there, like, to
Mhm.
make sure you're delivering it exactly because like so, like, it's so much mental presence to
Mhm.
be able to be like, "Where are they at?" But at the same time, like, "How am I delivering this?" Because
Right.
if you mess up a few words or, like, it doesn't it could be a totally different
And making the adjustments on the fly too. So the audience feedback, understanding like this is working with them when I'm, delivering, my material in a more aggressive way, let's say. That's what's hitting with them. And so now I need to deliver the rest of my material in a very aggressive way. And maybe these cute jokes that I was gonna do aren't gonna work with them. So I need
And
to
will you do that sometimes being like, "Okay, I could tell, like, this audience over here
all
is
the
this
time.
is" like, you're kinda having to, like, gauge, like,
Yeah.
"This audience, I'm not gonna
Read the room. Yeah. Reading the room.
this is huge."
hmm Massive. I've watched comedians go up on stage and just like march through their set without, like, waiting for any kind of feedback or, like, kinda understanding, like, what's hitting well, what's not working, how is the audience receiving this? Um, and you can do that, I just don't think
No, you
it's
have to, like, be able to pivot
yeah, I
also.
think if you're comedy is all about facilitating an experience for your audience, and so if you're not adjusting, if you're not aware of how they're receiving your material, then it's not going to be the best experience for them. I want every time I perform, I want my audience to leave having had an experience they won't forget. Whether it's just a joke that they related to, an interaction, like crowd work, I want them to have an experience they won't forget. And so just delivering jokes to them isn't gonna cut it.
No, so actually, this is gonna bring us back to the close. This is also the idea of pairing as
Mm,
well. So, like,
yeah.
whenever, like, someone I mean, it could be behavior. So, like, whether you're, like, working with a dog or you're working with, like, an individual with autism, whatever it is, basically, you're always adjusting to the audience,
Yes.
reading the room.
Yeah, just like we talked about, just making sure that they're getting the best experience possible.
It's the same way when I tell someone, like, "Oh, if you're gonna be, like, working with" let's say you're working with a kid and you're like, "I want them to" I'm working on potty training, whatever it is. You better go in that day, you better pair in the beginning hard that they're
Mm,
like, they wanna work with you and they wanna work for you, and at the end. You better
mm.
end that they love you at the end. Like, you gotta pair at the beginning, pair at the end so that they wanna come back and see you. They wanna come to your show. So, like, you gotta end it that, like and I think
That's
that's
how you
really good.
solidify the connection, I guess?
Yeah, like, the crowd work at the end is like, you're like, "Now, like, let me get a little personal with you guys." Like, you're
Yeah,
connecting,
yeah.
right?
Right. Right, making sure that they, it sticks with them. Like, I wanna be under their skin by the time that show's over.
Right, and they're leaving with, like, "I wanna come back. I wanna see him again."
I have to follow this guy, I have to know what's going on with him. Yeah.
Which perfectly leads me to my next question. Where can people follow you? Where can they find you? All things. Where are you?
I'm on tour, so come to a show. You can follow me on social media, obviously. It's always gonna be some form of at Davey Jax,
And in the show notes, I'll put the
DAVEYJAX.
exact one for each.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because there's a couple where I think like on YouTube actually, Davey Jax wasn't available, so I had to do Davey Jax with 2 X's. And eventually, when I transition careers again, it's gonna be Davey Jax with 3 X's because you know why.
Oh yeah, because you get a lot of water and the girl in the pool and the in the massage.
Would people watch that if I recorded it? I don't know. Tell us in the comments if you
Yeah,
would
yeah.
watch me.
Tell us in the comments. People are into weird things.
You never know.
You never know. Okay, so and you're on tour right now.
Yeah.
Davey Davey Jax.com.
Yes.
And also go to YouTube and check out his comedy special. And as someone who's trying to grow my own YouTube channel now with Behavior Bridges, everyone give him a follow or subscribe.
Yes, please do.
Subscribe. Like, people don't realize, like, how meaningful it is to, like, give people that leaving comments that are nice or
I You can leave
subscribe.
mean comments on my stuff. I'm used to it.
You like it.
I don't know if I like it necessarily, but you know, it helps with engagement.
Yeah, I know. Hey,
Everything helps. Whether they
everything.
love you or hate you, they're still watching your shit and they're still commenting on it. So,
And I gotta say, for anyone who, like, is into any of, like, these if you're listening to my podcast, you will like his podcast because the topics that you have on there are super interesting, the guests.
thank you.
So and that's called Friends with Davey.
That's right. Yeah, that's the name of my podcast, Friends with Davey, on YouTube, on all the streaming platforms.
It's good.
And
It's
yeah,
good
we do have some
conversation.
incredible guests. Jiao Ying and I actually did an episode, and
I
that
know.
one
I actually wanna, like,
that was crazy.
ask you to, like, share details of some of your guests. I'll just basically copy your whole show. Whatever. But thank you so much for coming on. It was amazing.
Thank you. This
Like,
was really I mean, I'm sure people probably noticed, but like telling you part of that story about my ex, like almost just like started crying, which is it's not about my ex. It's just about the gratitude, like how grateful I am that I'm not in that place anymore. It's
And
crazy.
it's like for the idea also of like slowing down to actually realize like how far you've come or like in these different things is kind of crazy, right? Like when you're like you're telling the story all about like how like fucked up she was and like you were
Mhm.
worried, but like in hindsight now you're like, I was in a dark
I was a
place.
mess. I was. It was bad. Like it was. The fact that I am still alive is crazy to me. Like when I really like sit back and think about everything that I went through, the punishment that I put myself through, like drugs, alcohol, various behaviors,
Like I
all
don't
of
know
that.
what your relationship with like God is now or whatever, or the universe or a greater
Yeah,
purpose, but
yeah. Higher power. Yeah,
like yeah, but like it feels like you went through all that to bring you exactly where you're meant to be. Like you're doing what you're meant to be doing.
very much so. That is exactly how I feel. Which is why like the money didn't make a difference to me. The power, the career didn't really.
It will come because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like you're
And but even if it didn't,
That's what
Leah,
I'm
that's
saying.
the thing. Even if it
But
didn't, I
the
would still be so
reinforcement is
happy.
not only money. That's what it,
Right.
the thing is. It's like, okay, you could get a lot of money here and be depressed,
Right.
or you could do this, but like this is so much more about like that's where
Hmm.
you're allocating your time.
Yeah.
I mean, and by the way, even when I started my business, like I was originally like I was working in a clinic, getting paid a salary. I knew I had good health insurance, I had all this stuff, whatever it is. And I was like, I don't care. I'm so much more alive when I am like
Hmm.
teaching these classes. And at the time they were free. And then it was like $5 a class. But I was like, I don't care. I'm happy. I was like, I've also like seen myself with my own health, like dead. Like I was
Yeah.
like literally at death's door. So
Yeah.
like I want to do what makes me happy. And like it didn't feel like one was secure,
Right.
one wasn't. But like I felt so much more joy. And now it has grown into like a business that, like thank God like does well and I'm like living off of. So you never know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, you're
God
incredibly successful, but you're also living in a way that is authentic to you and makes you happy and is fulfilling. I mean, that's the fucking dream, isn't it? I think that's like really the
I
message.
literally know I all the time like I went to Galveston, the world's ugliest beach this weekend.
Yeah.
And I was like, but there's something that like makes you just like when you see an ocean or like mountains, I was just like, God, like, thank you so much. Like, I literally am like doing exactly what I love to do, what I wake up to do.
Hmm.
So like, but I like it. Your story is just really cool. So thanks for sharing it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was such a cool conversation.
I'm in love.
Do what makes you fucking happy, people.
Like
I think that's the
literally,
message, right?
I'm literally in
Yeah.
anything you're in, whether it's a relationship,
Hmm.
like a job, like you got one life.
That's it. Our time in this reality is so limited. Like, why waste it?
You have one life, but if you do it well, once is enough. That's what they say, right?
Is it?
If they say like you only live once, but if you live it well, once is enough, or
Yeah.
something like that. I'm
I
probably.
want to come back as someone even cooler.
I thought you want to come back on my show. I was like, sure. What are we going to talk about?
Oh yeah. Obviously that. Yeah. No. Anytime I'm in Dallas, like we'll hang out.
I love it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was a long one, but I couldn't have. There's a lot I wanted to ask. So, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it. You know where you could find us. You could find us on our website, behaviorbitches.com. Always reach out any topics, guests you want us to have on. Always go leave 5-star reviews. Our Patreon is actually back up and bumping. Anyone who has been a Patreon for a long time, thank you so much. I know we were literally giving you absolutely nothing, um, but you were loyal, so I appreciate it. Is that what you're doing? Oh, okay. Our YouTube is now, we're really trying to grow this Behavior Bitches channel. Please make me happy and go press subscribe there. And my last announcement is going to be you could always find us on Instagram or TikTok at Behavior Bitches Podcast. That's all I have for you today. As always, love you. Mean it.